Brian Rolapp's new rule could ban Scottie Scheffler from playing the hometown PGA Tour events he wants to support, and players may finally be ready to fight back. Starting in 2028, golfers inside the Elite Championship Series will not be allowed to drop into Challenger Series tournaments. That means the Tour could control where its biggest stars tee it up, even when loyalty, history, and local fans are involved. Scheffler has supported stronger fields, but this restriction puts his freedom directly in Rolapp's hands. Apparently, becoming world number one earns you millions, trophies, and permission to ask the boardroom where you may play next. What a reward! Will Scheffler accept the ruling or become the powerful voice that forces the Tour to reverse course? Subscribe right now because we are exposing Rolapp's divisive rule, the player anger surrounding it, and why this battle could tear the PGA Tour's new system apart before it even begins. Here is what Rolapp is changing. In 2028, the PGA Tour plans to create two separate competitive lanes. The Championship Series will contain roughly 23 or 24 events, including the majors, the Players' Championship, the postseason, and other premium stops. Regular tournaments are expected to carry purses of at least $20 million, with fields averaging around 120 golfers and a cut after 36 holes. Beneath that will sit the Challenger Series. It is expected to feature at least 20 tournaments, larger fields, and purses around $4 million. Players who finish near the top can earn promotion, while golfers who fall from the upper level can be relegated. Rolapp likes the English football comparison. Win enough, and you move up. Struggle, and you go down. Simple, dramatic, and easy to sell on television. Yet golf is not football. A football club has a fixed stadium, a local identity, and an entire squad moving together. A professional golfer is an independent athlete, building a schedule around form, family, health, sponsors, course fit, and history. Treating that player like a team that can be parked in another division sounds tidy during a PowerPoint presentation. On the range, it becomes far messier. The restriction creates the first major fault line. Championship members will not be free to enter challenger tournaments. Rolapp wants the strongest players concentrated in premium events because broadcasters and sponsors want dependable star power. From a business view, the calculation is obvious. If Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, and other leading names appear together more often, every tournament becomes easier to promote. Still, making the product easier to sell can make the player's life harder to control. Scheffler has deep ties to the CJ Cup Byron Nelson in Texas. He received a PGA Tour start there as a 17-year-old, with his sister carrying his bag. He later won the event and produced a record score. This is not another random box on his calendar. It is part of his story. Under the new model, whether he can return may depend on where that tournament lands. If it becomes a challenger stop, the rule could shut the gate on one of the sport's biggest stars. Imagine telling the local fans that their hometown champion is healthy, willing, qualified, and nearby, but cannot play because he is too successful. Golf has produced strange penalties before, but being punished for world-class form would be a spectacular new entry. However, a total barrier is the bluntest club in the bag. Why not allow a small number of personal exemptions? Why not protect appearances at hometown events, former victories, or tournaments a player has supported for years? Why should a rule designed for clarity erase the relationships that make fans care? Tradition cannot be praised in the advertising campaign and then sliced out of the schedule when it becomes inconvenient. Think about what this means beyond Scheffler, because this argument is no longer one superstar complaining about one possible tournament. It is a fight over who owns a golfer's career. The player supplies the talent, carries the injury risk, hires the caddy, pays the team, serves the sponsors, and faces the cameras after every missed cut. Yet the Tour may decide which side of the fence he occupies and which events he is forbidden to enter. That tension becomes even sharper for golfers around the cutoff. Rolapp says at least 90 championship players will retain their places, while approximately 20 challenger players will earn promotion after the season. The final membership numbers and exemptions still require detail, but the message is already clear. A line will divide the locker room, and everybody close to it will feel every bogey in his bank account. Picture a player ranked 95th entering August. He is not fighting only for FedEx Cup points or a trophy. He may be fighting to keep access to $20 million events. One bad bounce, one injured wrist, or one cold putter could send him toward tournaments offering roughly 1/5 of the purse. His caddy feels that drop. His coach feels it. His family feels it. Suddenly, a 4-foot par putt carries the weight of an employment review. Most challenger promotion is expected to happen after the season rather than week by week. Multiple wins can trigger an immediate move, but one victory may not be enough. A player could dominate a tournament, prove he can beat a strong field, and still spend months waiting outside the premium gates. Meritocracy sounds wonderful until merit is placed in a waiting room and told to take a number. Sponsor exemptions also disappear from championship events under the announced plan. Monday qualifiers are expected to remain mainly on the challenger side. For years, those openings allowed an unknown player to catch fire, enter a field, and change his life in 4 rounds. Golf sold that dream because it separated the sport from closed leagues. You did not need a draft pick or an owner's approval. You needed a score. Now the tour risks creating a cleaner television product with fewer wild stories. Executives receive reliable fields. Networks receive recognizable names. Premium sponsors receive premium inventory. Meanwhile, the player ranked 130th receives a speech about opportunity and a seat downstairs. Naturally, the brochure will use the word pathway in a very expensive font. This is why the corruption charge in the title must be examined carefully. No public evidence proves Rolapp is secretly fixing results or breaking laws. The deeper accusation is about power, whether business interests are being placed above the open competition the PGA Tour has long celebrated. Is the structure designed to reward great golf, or to protect a valuable group of stars from the uncertainty that made golf compelling? On one hand, the fields are expanding compared with the limited, no-cut signature events that angered many fans. Championship tournaments are expected to average 120 players and include 36 hole cuts. That is an improvement. Nobody wants another parade where famous golfers collect large checks without the danger of going home Friday night. On the other hand, $20 million purses at the top and $4 million purses below create an obvious class system. Rolapp calls it one tour, with 2 compelling series. Rory McIlroy previously described the lower level more harshly, calling those events glorified Corn Ferry tournaments. That phrase landed because it exposed the branding problem. You can place the PGA Tour logo on both doors, but players will notice which room contains 5 times the money. McIlroy later supported the overall step, and Scheffler said he was excited because the competition should improve. Those reactions matter. They also destroy the easy claim that Scheffler has already launched an open mutiny. He has not. No verified army of furious stars is marching toward Rolapp's office with broken putters raised above their heads. Scheffler is especially important because he does not need to shout. His leverage comes from performance and credibility. When the world number 1 questions a competitive rule, the tour cannot dismiss him as a bitter player worried about losing status. He sits safely above the line. He benefits from the giant purses. If he objects, the argument becomes less about self-interest and more about freedom and principle. That is how a player mutiny could begin, not with a dramatic press conference, but with calm resistance. One star requests an exception. Another supports him. A tournament sponsor demands an answer. Local fans ask why their champion is missing. Player directors carry those complaints into meetings. Soon, a rule presented as settled returns to the board covered in red ink. Do not underestimate the tournaments caught in the middle. Many current PGA Tour stops have spent decades raising charitable money, recruiting volunteers, building sponsor relationships, and creating local traditions. Some will receive championship status, others will fall into the challenger lane. Their value could change overnight, not because the course failed or the community stopped caring, but because the tour moved the velvet rope. Without elite players able to visit, a challenger event may struggle for television attention. Smaller audiences can weaken sponsorship. Weaker sponsorship can pressure purses. Lower purses can make the series feel even less important. Rolapp insists these events will remain genuine PGA Tour tournaments, but status cannot be declared into existence. Fans decide what matters by watching, buying tickets, and caring about the result. Here is the brutal question Rolapp must answer. If the Challenger Series is truly compelling, why must championship players be kept out of it? If both lanes belong to one healthy tour, a carefully limited crossover should strengthen the entire platform. Blocking Stars suggests the lower series is not an equal partner. It is a feeder system wearing the family uniform. Defenders will respond that crossover creates chaos. A championship star could enter an easier event, take a trophy from a developing player, and distort the points race. Scheduling conflicts could also weaken a premium field if too many names chase personal appearances elsewhere. Those are real problems, but rules can manage them without imposing a complete ban. Limit every championship player to one challenger appearance each season. Require a hometown, past champion, or long-term sponsor connection. Prevent crossover during conflicting premium events. Remove championship points from the appearance if necessary. Golf has enough officials to measure a club groove under a microscope. Surely somebody can design one narrow exemption without the entire sport falling into a bunker. The larger issue is trust. PGA Tour players endured years of confusion surrounding LIV Golf. Massive purse increases, secret negotiations, signature events, equity promises, and leadership changes. Each new announcement arrived with language about unity in the future. Now, Rolapp asks them to accept another major reconstruction before every eligibility rule has been finalized. Maverick McNeely, a player director, emphasized that golf should allow scores to decide promotion rather than subjective choices. That principle is exactly what the tour must protect. Shoot the number, earn the place. Lose form, face the consequences. No secret handshake, no popularity contest, no executive choosing a television favorite over a golfer who beat him on the course. Rolapp's NFL background also adds to the suspicion. The NFL succeeds through scarcity, centralized scheduling, fixed teams, and controlled inventory. Golf grew through individual freedom, weekly uncertainty, and many routes into competition. Importing football logic may improve ratings, but forcing golf into an NFL-shaped box could crush the very chaos that gives the game its soul. A Sunday leaderboard works because nobody owns the outcome. The unknown qualifier can stare down the major champion. A veteran can rescue his career with one hot week. A local favorite can return when his ranking falls. Those moments are not inefficient leftovers. They are the emotional engine of the sport. Rolapp wants approximately 20 versions of the Players' Championship. That sounds powerful until every week starts feeling manufactured. If all tournaments chase the same field, purse, presentation, and importance, none may feel special. Golf does not need 20 identical main courses served by a side dish. Nobody is encouraged to order. Scheffler's response will therefore matter more when implementation becomes personal. He does not have to reject the entire overhaul. A focused challenge to the crossover ban would be enough. His case could be direct. Elite competition is good. Meaningful cuts are good. Promotion is good. But players should retain limited freedom to honor tournaments that helped build them. Other stars may find similar connections. Jordan Spieth also has history with the Byron Nelson. Veterans have sponsors and charities tied to particular stops. Younger champions remember the invitations that gave them their first chance. Once those stories enter the discussion, Rolapp's clean two-lane model becomes a traffic jam of human obligations. That is where sympathy turns into defiance. Fans may not care about committee charts, media rights, or inventory. They understand loyalty. A golfer returning home matters. A champion thanking the event that believed in him matters. When an executive rule blocks that relationship, the anger writes itself. So, is this corruption? Legally, that word goes far beyond the available evidence. Emotionally, critics will use it to describe a system that appears to concentrate money, stars, and power at the top while asking everyone else to admire the pathway. The tour can silence that charge only through transparent rules, fast promotion, fair relegation, and meaningful player input. Rolapp still has time. The system begins in 2028, and several eligibility details remain unfinished. He can add sensible crossover exemptions. He can protect tournament traditions. He can explain exactly how players rise, fall, and recover from injury. Most importantly, he can prove that consultation means more than allowing golfers to speak before executives make the same decision anyway. Scheffler also faces a choice. Staying quiet preserves harmony and keeps attention on his golf. Speaking up risks turning him into the face of a political fight he may never have requested. However, leadership often arrives when the comfortable person defends those with less power. Because Scheffler is safe inside the championship series, his voice could carry farther than the complaints of 100 golfers fighting below him. No one should invent a mutiny. That has not happened. Still, no one should ignore the conditions that could produce one. Separate the money. Restrict movement. Reduce access. Leave major questions unanswered. Then tell independent athletes the change is for their benefit. That is not a peaceful clubhouse. That is a leaderboard waiting for a storm. Now I want your verdict. Should Scheffler and the players force Rolapp to remove this restriction, or does the PGA Tour need firm control to make its new system work? One side sees stronger fields, bigger stakes, and a cleaner season. The other sees a two-class tour sacrificing freedom and tradition for television value. Drop your opinion in the comments, hit the like button, and subscribe so you do not miss the next update as the 2028 rules take shape. Rolapp has played his approach into dangerous rough. Scheffler may decide whether the tour escapes with par or watches its biggest stars turn one controversial rule into a full-player rebellion.